Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is your horoscope for the weekend of 16th and 17th October 2021. So let's get started. And the first thing I want to talk about is something that we have been speaking about all week, and that aspect is still on. We still have Mercury retrograde in an opposition to Chiron, and Uranus is still in equincunx with Mercury retrograde. And very briefly, this energy can make us feel slightly wounded, make us feel a little hurt, and the goal is to overcome that pain and find some sort of healing, and that can happen through communication or through adjusting anything Mercury related, like our environment or social media or our routine or our diet, things like that. And this feeling of feeling wounded and communicating about these things so that we can heal comes in bursts because Uranus is quincunxing Mercury retrograde. So I won't speak more about this energy. All I want to say is that we can feel wounded, we can feel like we're hurting a little bit, but the goal is to overcome that pain, and there is healing because Chiron is our wounds, yes, but it's also healing. And another thing I do want to mention is that, okay, we'll speak about that later, but let's get on to what's happening today. And the first important thing happens at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Now, if you are elsewhere in the world, you can always convert the Pacific time to your time zone to know when the energy is going to happen for you. And what's happening here is that Venus is trining Chiron, and it is sextiling Mercury retrograde, right? And Venus is the planet of blessings. Venus is the planet of our projects, relationship, love, skills, finances. All these things are ruled by Venus, and it is making a positive aspect, 120-degree angle with Chiron, the planet of our pain, the planet of our wounds, the planet that heals us. But this is a positive aspect. So at this moment here, we can start to find some healing when it comes to our projects or relationships. And it is also making a positive aspect with Mercury in its own sign of Libra, right? And Venus is a benefic, so we can feel positive about something connected to relationships at this point, or there can be communication that leads us to feel positive about relationships because relationships are highlighted. Libra is about relationships. Venus is the planet of relationships. And it could also be connected to projects that we are working on because those are Venus ruled as well, or how we feel about ourselves. Overall speaking, this is a positive healing energy. We are feeling healed when it comes to relationships, projects, self-worth, values, skills, finances. And this could very well be because we receive some communication or some information or even some insight when it comes to these things, because Venus is making a positive aspect with Mercury. Venus is a benefic and Mercury is the messenger. It could be a positive communication, a positive realization, a positive thought, a positive change. But at the same time, because Mercury is still opposing Chiron, there is an element of bittersweetness, and that will be there for some time, for a few days, because Mercury is going to go direct on October 18th, and it's very slow right now. So it is going to be aspecting Chiron for a few days. We will feel this bittersweet feeling for a few days, but the positive here is that while we feel a little bit of pain in one area of our life that we need to overcome and heal through communication or thinking things through, the area of our life connected to, say, relationships or projects or how we feel about ourselves is finding some healing. We are feeling good about that. So it's a mixed feeling, it's a mixed energy. Positive is happening, positive healing, but there's a feeling of feeling some sort of pain as well. And moving on, at 8 p.m. Pacific time, we have, sorry about that, the moon in Pisces, sextile Uranus. Now, the moon has been in Pisces since yesterday, and the moon in Pisces is an energy that is a lot about going with the flow and letting the universal energy dictate your life in many ways. And now it's making a positive aspect with Uranus, the planet of sudden changes, the planet of um, our true authentic self, the planet that wants us to be our true authentic self. So this could be a moment here where we go through a sudden emotional change, adjustment to get more in tune with our truth, our authentic self. And since this is a positive aspect, I don't think it's going to feel stressful. It's happening automatically. Probably because we are doing a lot of work with the Chiron Mercury retrograde opposition. This is not an easy energy, right? Mercury is our mind and Chiron is our wounds. It's not an easy energy. So we are doing a lot of inner work through these few days, and the moon making a positive aspect with Uranus is probably just a moment where we say, okay, I let this emotional pattern go. I let this feeling of negativity go. Okay, I can be who I am now because I've let these things go. Because whether it's a fear or some pain, anything emotional, right? And that's a positive aspect. However, at about 9 p.m., we have the Sun Pluto square get closer, right? It's going to come exact tomorrow, but at 9 p.m. we'll start to feel it more. I mean, we are feeling it, but at 9 p.m. the sun hits 24 degrees and Pluto is at 24, and the sun is our identity, it's our soul, it's our consciousness, and the Pluto is the planet of transformation. Complete transformation is what Pluto wants, and now it's making a challenging aspect with the sun, a square, demanding us to transform something, whether it's connected to our identity, our consciousness. A transformation is required. Ending of an old way of being is required. Beginning of something new is required, because that's Pluto. And it could also be a healing, because Pluto is also the planet of healing and catharsis and regeneration. But this process of transforming something deep in our soul, in our consciousness, connected to our identity, can feel challenging because they're in a square. And we have this challenging aspect in the background as well, because this is not a moment, right? We'll see the sun build up to its square to Pluto, and we'll feel this over a few hours or even a day. And at the same time, Mercury is opposing Chiron. So positive things are happening, right? Venus is trining Chiron, positive, sextiling Mercury, retrograde, positive. And Mars here is getting ready to trine Jupiter. So positivity is there, but there's a lot of intensity that is demanding change, that is demanding us to heal and release and transform. So mixed energy. And that's pretty much it for today. Now moving on to Sunday. Speaking of the Sun Pluto square, the square comes exact at about 5 a.m. Pacific time. So you can see the Sun is at 24:19 and Pluto is at 24:20. So approximately 5 a.m. Pacific time, we'll feel the intensity of the square that we just spoke about at its peak, and then the intensity will start to diminish. But it's a slower process than, say, the moon. And speaking of the moon, at 9 a.m. Sunday morning Pacific time, the moon is going to conjunct Neptune, right? Now, this energy can go two ways. The moon is already in Pisces and Neptune is already in Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Piscean energy, Neptunian energy is very sensitive, it's very spiritual, it's very creative, but it is also the planet. Neptune is the planet of confusion, of delusions, of feeling a little low. So this energy can go two ways. One, a very creative spiritual feeling, great time for spiritual things, poetry, music, all that stuff. Alternatively, it can make us feel confused. It can make us foggy in our thinking. We can feel confused at this point, or we can feel a little low emotionally as well, because that's Neptune. The energy is there now. It depends on how it's going to manifest, either a spiritual, creative manifestation or feeling low, feeling confused. And if we channel this energy in a positive way, the likelihood of a negative manifestation goes down. But whatever this energy is, it is extremely sensitive. Moon's in Pisces, Neptune's in Pisces, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So a lot of sensitivity. And what that means is we can react to things that we wouldn't react to otherwise. So just be mindful of that. And we do still have the Sun Pluto square going on. Mercury is still in an opposition with Chiron, Conjunct Uranus. So although these positive things are happening, right, like I said, the Sun Jupiter trine happened, now Mars is building up to its trine, things like that are happening, but there's a lot of intensity in the background. And moving on, at 4 p.m. we do have a positive aspect. 4 p.m. Pacific time, Sunday, the moon is going to now, sorry, that's the sun. The moon here is going to sextile Pluto, 60-degree angle, right, while the sun squares it. So while we are feeling that pressure and intensity to transform, heal our consciousness or soul or identity, our emotions are also transforming sextile to Pluto, but we are not feeling that pressure when it comes to our emotions. I mean, of course, we can't dissect our soul and our emotions. Often we combine them as one unit, right? But the energy is such that in changing our consciousness, in changing something deep within us, in changing our identity, our emotions are getting transformed. It's not that our emotions are getting transformed and then our identity is shifting. No, it's something that we are changing in our consciousness that is leading to a change in our emotions. So the change, the transformation in our emotions does not feel stressful. So this is that energy, again, a mixed energy, something stressful leading to a transformation that feels like it's happening automatically. But is it really happening automatically? No, it's happening because we're doing the work, right? We're doing the work with the Sun Pluto square. And that's why our emotions are falling in line, you can say. And then we have a positive energy at 11 p.m. Pacific time. And what's happening here is Jupiter has gone direct, right? So I'm going to move back the chart by 1 hour. At about 10 p.m. Pacific time, you can see Jupiter, the 2219 is in red font, and now I'm going to move it up by an hour, and the 2219 shifts to black font, and Jupiter has gone direct. Now, Jupiter is the third planet to go direct this month. On October 6th, Pluto went direct, October 10th, Saturn, and now Jupiter has gone direct. And since April, one by one, all the planets started to go retrograde, and that meant the pace at which things was moving slowed down. The active creation of karma slowed down. It was more a review process, a period of receiving the rewards for the work we already put in. And as we entered October, the energy was at its slowest, with so many planets retrograde: Pluto, Saturn, Chiron, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and even Mercury. But now, as we approach October 18th, Pluto's out of retrograde, Saturn, and today, 11 p.m. Pacific time. For most of the world, it's going to be on Monday, but Pacific time, it's Sunday night. Jupiter has gone direct, right? And Jupiter is the planet of blessings and rewards and gifts and lessons. And when it is retrograde, all that slows down. It's more a period where we kind of go over all that we've received, or we revisit the lessons that we have learned. But now that forward movement begins with Jupiter. Blessings, gifts, lessons begin again. And that's pretty much it for the weekend. So the highlight, I would say, is that Jupiter is going direct this weekend, but there's a lot of intensity, a lot. Mercury, like I said, is still in an opposition to Chiron. Yes, there was positivity on Saturday with Venus trining Chiron and sextiling Mercury, but the Sun did square Pluto, and that would have felt intense, and the Moon did conjunct Neptune, not an easy energy. So it is a positive energy mixed with a lot of intensity, mixed with a lot of pressure to transform. But Sunday evening, Sunday night, Jupiter goes direct, and that's the highlight. And we are building up to a few things. Mars here is getting ready to trine Jupiter. This is a positive energy. We'll talk about this. And we also have Mercury getting ready to go direct tomorrow, Monday. And Mercury has been in retrograde since September 27th. And when Mercury is retrograde, it's not the best time to start something absolutely new. And now Mercury will start to go direct, more forward movement that happens on Monday. And we are also building up to the full moon in Aries on October 20th. So that's something important as well. And Mars here is first going to trine Jupiter and then square Pluto. So we'll see all this happen. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. And now I will pick a card for the weekend or a few cards for the weekend, and then we'll close it out. Usually I give the big picture of 2021, the underlying themes of 2021 that we deal with on a daily basis in every video except for the weekend, because it's 2 days and I like to keep it short. So if you want to know that, you can wait for the Monday horoscope or watch my Friday's horoscope. All right, now let's pick a few cards. Okay, now I'm gonna have to do it again. Go with the top card. Taking risks. And I think the message is pretty clear, right? Although we should not do anything completely new till Monday, because that's when Mercury gets out of retrograde. If there is something on your mind that you're scared to do, then maybe think about it. It may not be such a bad thing to go after what you want, and something that's in alignment with your truth, because the theme of 2021 is finding and embracing your true authentic self. And I think maybe for that some risk is involved, but hold off till Monday before starting something absolutely new, till Mercury comes out of retrograde. But the message here is that take a chance on something if you have been thinking about taking a chance on something. Now let's pick some more cards to really understand what this means. Flexibility. Now, I think this card is asking us to be flexible, and with the moon in Pisces throughout the weekend, Pisces is all about going with the flow. So I think another message for this weekend is to be flexible. Going with the flow is important. Trust. This is the second time we got this card. I think we got this card 2 days ago, and I think now this card becomes more clear, right? Because we must trust in ourselves to go after what we want, taking risks. Because the other day when this card came up, it was a day where I said that I don't remember exactly what the aspect was, but that was a day where we were asked to trust and have trust in our own innate wisdom. And I think if we do that, we'll be able to go after what we want. Because right now, yeah, the logical mind, Mercury, is offline, right? It's retrograde. It's a little confused. Unless you're born with Mercury retrograde, then it's different. And it is opposing Chiron, our pain. So we're not thinking very straight. The logical mind is going through a lot. And when logic stops, we must trust our innate wisdom. We must trust ourselves. And maybe in trusting that ourself, we can go after what we want. And we must be flexible this weekend. Go with the flow a little bit. Because I think last weekend and coming into Monday, we did get cards asking us to not be scared, right? So I think not being scared and taking risk kind of ties in together. So maybe that's the theme. Let's go with one more card. Flow. We got this yesterday or day before. And I think this is pretty clear then. Flexibility and flow, it's pretty much the same thing. We must go with the flow. This weekend is about going with the flow. It's about trusting the universe, trusting ourselves, and maybe going thinking about going after what we want and holding off till Mercury goes direct. And that's all I'm going to say for the weekend. I hope you have a great weekend. I will see you all for the horoscope for Monday and the weekly now. Bye.